and the time's too far to view.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album by Paul Weller. It's his latest one called A Kind Revolution. So yeah, what I'm going to do in this video is give a bit of quick background information about the album, then I will show you my vinyl copy and CD versions of the album, and then go over each of the album songs in detail. Okay, so this was his 13th solo record, released on the 12th of May this year. After completing his last album, Saturn's Pattern, which was released in 2015, Weller was very productive, in the recording studio. In 2016, he was pretty quiet. He didn't really tour. He made very few live appearances. Because he was working on a number of projects. Firstly this one, also the soundtrack to a film Jawbone, and also producing an album for a band called the Stone Foundation. Weller co-wrote some of the songs, sings quite a bit on their album. So to support the album, Weller went out on tour in the UK and throughout sort of April this year. I was lucky enough to see him in Liverpool. Absolutely great show. I met him as well before the concert. Yeah, just I had a brilliant time. I've done a separate video on my concert experience, if you want to go and watch that. So when this album was released, it got pretty much an all-round fantastic critical response. Pretty much every review was at least 4 to 5 stars. There was really sort of a great excitement for this album among Paul Weller fans. However, on the UK charts, it didn't do quite as well as some of Weller's previous albums. This reached number 5, which is still quite good. However, considering that pretty much all of his other solo records, at least I think Since Wildwood at least reached number 1 or 2 on the UK charts. Number 5 is a little bit disappointing. But anyway, I'm now just going to show you my vinyl copy, but first I have actually got the deluxe CD here. This is okay. It isn't really worth getting this though. I just got this really just because I am a massive Paul Weller nutter. I'm sort of a collector of his. So I got this. I mean, this doesn't really add much. You get instrumental versions off the songs, which are basically, yeah, just instrumental versions, and then some remixes, which again are okay, but not as good as the actual album versions themselves. Here, this sort of just opens up like this. You get a sort of nice picture, and then the 3 CDs a house here. They just sort of come out like this, and then you get a little booklet as well. Just in the end here, which yeah, just sort of lyrics, credits, that sort of thing. Although the vinyl itself is really nice here, which is just open when I when I could done my unboxing off this, when it was in the shrink wrap, I was just perplexed at how you open it, but open it because there isn't sort of a spine gap for the records to come out. It is pretty much his 90s albums, which could sort of open up like this, and then and then the records themselves are just in here, or the record itself so it's only a single album this, but you do still get quite a lot of stuff in here. I think that's everything. Notice, firstly you get a download code here, which is always nice. Always nice if you don't want to buy the CD. You get this sort of art print, which is which I thought was a little bit pointless. However, a lot of people said that it's sort of to frame, if you don't want to frame the actual album, you can just frame this, which was a nice touch to put in, I guess. Then we have the booklet here, which again is absolutely fantastic. Saturn's Pattern came with a booklet as well, just sort of got lyrics in it, photos. So yeah, this is great. Real sort of great attention to detail with the packaging to this. And then the record itself is just in a plain inner sleeve, but it is really nice sort of lined inner sleeve, and we are on the Parlophone label for this release there. So there's side 2 and side 1 there. So yeah, overall vinyl packaging is really nice. Alright, so I'm now going to go over each of the album songs. There's 10 tracks in total, so what I'll do is I'll score each song, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. Okay, so we start off with a song called Woosie Mama, which I really love. It is a great cracker way to start the album, like a big sort of like rocking sound to it, like as well, like lots of like loud guitars going on. Yeah, just a great song, like to start the album. Lyrically, like the verses are like really great. Chorus, like it is like a little bit like nonsensical, like the Woosie Mama bit, like in it, but it does sound really great. Like he's got like backing singers like P.P. Arnold and like Madeline Bell, like sort of like soul like legends and like legendary like soul singers there backing him up. It just sounds great this song. I also love like the middle section like as well, like where it sort of like breaks down like for a bit, like we get like this sort of like electronic like beat thing like coming in. Like yeah, it's just such like unexpected like in this song. Yeah, a real great track, I think. The only sort of criticism with it is that it does go on like a little bit like towards the end, and like they kind of just sort of like jam out a bit, and maybe could have faded it out like a little bit earlier personally for me, but it is still a great song, the Woosie Mama. Following that up, we get a song called Nova, which I love, giving it a 10 out of 10 this. I love kind of like the contrast like between like the verses and like the chorus verses, like are sort of like they're all like sung very low, like very quiet, like whether the chorus just comes out of nowhere. Like we've got like these sort of like synthesizers on it, like it's quite loud, they're quite celebratory. Love like the production like on it like as well. Like it's a little bit less like in your face than like the Sonic Kicks album like from 2012, but it still sounds like contemporary. Certainly hear like a David Bowie like influence like on like this song, definitely. So yeah, Nova would get a 10 out of 10. And then we get the album's lead-off single, which was Long Road, which I also really love as well. When I first heard it, like I wasn't too crazy like about the song. Like it was certainly like unexpected, like coming after like the Saturn's Pattern album, like which was quite sort of like psychedelic, quite sort of like modern, and like sounded like, whereas this like it is like quite a retro sort of like old sort of like Stax like soul record sound to it. The verses are again with this like a song like quite low, like however like the chorus like is just beautiful, like it's got like these sort of strings going on, like it just sounds stunning. And yeah, like lyrically, like it's also got like a great message like as well, like about sort of like pulling together like in like tough times. So yeah, great track there, Long Road.
She moves with the fair.
Okay, so the fourth track in on the album is called She Moves With The Fair, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. This is a real sort of funky track, like it's got like a great sort of like riff, like what powers like the track along. Melodically, like it's a little bit lesser than the three songs that what have like came before it. Like I like also like most stuff like the album, like for that matter. However, like I really love like the middle section, like where it goes like in like a completely different direction. Like we get like these vocals like from Robert Wyatt, like sings on it, like he does like a trumpet solo, like as well. Like it really fits like the song quite well, I think. Like it is like distinctively different, but somehow it works like quite well, like I think. So yeah, She Moves With The Fair would get a 8 out of 10.
Been a long time making a show.
And then the first side closes with a song called The Cranes Are Back, which is another one that has like grown on me, because I first heard this one like when like I saw like him live, and like I wasn't too crazy like about the song like when like I heard like him doing it live. Like whether like this album version, not sure like whether it is like the actual performance like on here, or like whether like it is like the production, but I've just really fallen like for this song. Quite sort of gospel like influence like this track here, like the chorus especially like is stunning. Like we've got like these layered harmonies which are done like I think like Weller and like his bassist Andy Crofts. It just sounds so brilliantly. Like I think like also Hannah Weller sing and like sings on this track as well. Lyrically, like I think like it's a song about hope. Like it can mean like one of like two things, like either like the cranes are back, like being like a type of like bird, like which in like certain countries like signifies like hope, but like also like construction cranes, like it could be like as well, like sort of like to signify like a growing like all like prosperous like economy, like as well. So yeah, a great song. Like I think it is a great way to close side one like off the album.
In late night bars, the ghost of Harper
Okay, so opening up to side 2, we get a track called Hopper, which I do also, like, again, really love this track. Like, it's slightly sort of, like, slower, more sort of, like, mid-tempo number. Like, it's quite laid back, like, quite, like, acoustic, like, bass song. Like, the verse is, like, again, like, a really good, but it is the chorus, which kind of just comes in, like, we've got, like, these exceptional, sort of, like, catchy horns, like, as well. Like, yeah, just a great track, I think, Hopper. Okay, so we get another favourite track of mine called New York, and like this is a song for me that really sort of like melds like different like musical styles together. Like it starts off like with like this great sort of like bass line like to start the song. Like then like it goes like for like the verse like, into like this slightly sort of different direction, like slightly sort of tango like style like verse. And then the chorus, like itself, like is a bit more sort of danceable, like a little bit more like powerful, like real like mishmash type of styles, but it works so well. Lyrically, this track like is like about like meeting meeting like his wife Hannah like in like New York and like being thankful like for like the city. Like it's a great track. Like also like another standout like performance like is like the Hammond organ solo, which kind of like sort of like throwbacks to like the Style Cancelled sound, like whether I think like it's played by like Andy Crofts like on this song. So yeah, a brilliant track there, New York. Okay, so then we get like another really great song that gets called One Tear, which starts off with like these slightly sort of like strange like tape loops, like quite quiet, and then like we get like this sort of like vocal like from like Boy George, like who as to be said, like has seen better days like as like a vocalist. Like it's slightly sort of like out of tune like a little bit, like I have to say so. But like once the song gets going, like it's really great. Like Weller's singing fantastically like on it. Lyrically, I think it is one of like the album's sort of like most like interesting like songs. Like it's sort of like about like wars, like or even sort of like terrorist attacks. Like it's like a painfully like relevant like subject matter. Like these things like sort of like spurred on like by like religion, like religion, like the chorus like goes like, I don't want your kind of gods that divide us. So yeah, like a interesting song, but really fantastic though. Like musically, like it's great as well. Maybe like it is like a little bit stretched out, like but it does go through like different moods. Like we get like sort of like the more sort of danceable like chorus, like and then like quieter sections like as well. So yeah, like despite it being like about sort of 6 minutes this track, like there is like still quite a lot like to keep like your like attention. The penultimate track now is called Satellite Kid, which is one that was like written like in like the studio, like based like on like a band like Jam. Like it's got like a strong like kind of like blues feel to it. Like the drumming's like quite sort of like dark, like and like brooding to it. And like lyrically, like again, like it's interesting. Like got like a double meaning, like either like referring like to migrants or like refugees. Like it kind of like feel like outsiders. Like in like some ways, but like also could be sort of like about like living like outside living like outside the city, like such as like Weller did, like like in like the satellite towns. It has some great guitar playing like on it as well, like from like Josh McClory, I think that's how like you say his name, like from like a band called The Stripes. Like he plays some exceptional guitar like on this track. However, for me personally, it isn't one of my favourites like on the album. Like I'm not a massive fan like of like the style like what this was like done in. Like and like also like at like about 5 minutes, like it loses like my interest like a little bit. But it is still great though. Like wow, like the actual like main bulk like the main bulk like of the song like is really fantastic though. The chorus as well, like we've got like this sort of like xylophone like bit, like quite catchy like as well. So yeah, like not a bad track there, Satellite Kid. And then we close the album with the song called The Impossible Idea, which is a great track to close on. Like I think like it lyrically, like it like concerns like Weller's place like in like the world. Like it's like the like impossible idea that I've like changed the world and like that sort of thing. The title like was stolen like from like Noel Gallagher, like or like rather probably like given like to like Weller, like based like on like a poems like of Gallagher's, and like the actual like sort of like melody like is great. Like again, like it's quite laid back, like just a perfect song like I think like to close the album on. Nearly home. Okay, so overall this album would score 92%, which is a like exceptional score, I think. It has got a real great like flow to it, this album, despite like it never staying like in like one place. Like all these songs like are quite different, like they're all like unique, like, and also like as well, like it is like quality like over quantity. Like there's only like 10 tracks here, but like all 10 of them like are real great songs. Like there's nothing below like an 8 out of 10 on this album. The songs themselves are like really like melodic, like for like the most part, and like lyrically like strong and like relevant. He's also said like in interviews like that he's got like his next album like pretty much like in like the can, so like it really shows that like at the moment like he's at like a creative high point, like because this album's like stunning, like Saturn's pattern like great as well, like sonic kicks fantastic like as well. So yeah, also hoping that like his next one like will live up like to its predecessors. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed like this review. Like I would like to know what you think of this album down below in the comment section, and I will see you next time for the next video. Goodbye.